one of the reasons, before even getting to meet you and know you, one of the things that I always liked about Compton's Most Wanted material is that it was very soulful, and it had like a blues element,
Exactly,
and a soul element, and even a jazz element that I think a lot of other music, especially rap, of course, didn't really have.
our element was Parliament. Our element was George Clinton. You know, that's what a lot of West Coast dudes grew up on. My family transitioned from down south, you know, Mississippi, all that. So when they came here, it was Millie Jackson, Bobby Blue Bland, Tyrone Davis. You know, it wasn't the typical, the OJs, Isley brother. It was different. So when I would go to my auntie's house, I would hear records like Millie Jackson or Bobby Blue Bland, or you know, those real Chicken Shack records, I call them, you know, the meters, and Slip would turn me on to stuff like that. And then I would listen to people like Ronnie Jordan and jazz music. So when it came to our production and our music, it was always about, let's be outside the norm. Let's not do a record off of Funky Worm. Let's not do a record off of More Bounce. Let's do a record off the Meters, Duck Sick. Let's do a record off of, you know, Drive By Miss Daisy. You know, I always wanted different sounds because I felt as musical art, that's what we were artists. Let's get out of We Compton gangbangers. Everybody know that. I mean, everybody see that every day since we was growing up. Now that we got these contracts and we're videos, and let's show people that we really are musical. That's it. And that was my thing.
Yeah, because even kind of to that point, I remember after It's a Compton Thing and Straight Checking Them on the album side of things, I always remember, man, when I first put in Music to Drive By and the intro to that, I was just like,
the figure 8.
I was like, what is this? I was like, did they put the wrong album on?
You had to be like I said, I was a kid. I used to watch Schoolhouse Rock on Saturdays, and I remember the little girl would come out and she would be skating, and the figure 8 song would come on. And that's what you think of when you're an artist. When you're just one-sided, you would never think about to do no shit like that. But I'm thinking on the fact of, let me see how many people grew up in my era and remembered something shit like that. It's like clever shit that I would think of that wouldn't come from a typical, hey man, just put some gunshots on the beginning of my shit and some police sirens and let's get to going. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna twist them up and hey, people thinking like, what the hell is that? And you would think and you would think and you would think and you would go, oh man, I remember that. That's that Schoolhouse Rock figure 8. And as a kid, that's what I wanted people to symbolize with. Not for the fact of what it was, but the era of where you come from. That's what I was trying to symbolize with. So just trying to be something clever. Thought I had a brain and was smart, you know.
But I also think too that it fit in kind of perfectly because the way that you changed the bottom of it was having the kind of menacing, sinister element to it leading in.
And we low right into 8 is enough, or the knock, 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 and and then the whole record blow up, and then it's just something different. But like I said, when you're a musical artist or whenever you call yourself creative, you have to be able to create what you envision and get outside the box of what regular or normal, you know, the normal pattern is.
Straight Checking Them with the I Don't Dance, even when you put on the Vanilla Ice on there.
Exactly.
I was like,
me and Slip would just think of stuff, and most of the time, it was stuff that would just sit up and amuse us. Like we would sit up and be like, man, that would be funny as hell to do that, and then we would just be thinking like, well, it's got to be 10 or 100 people who would laugh just like we would, like we doing, so why not put it on there? So you have to be able to take chances and you have to be able to be creative when it comes to hip hop, because that's what it is. Like I keep telling people, I come from Compton, I gang bang, I did all that, but when I got this gift to become this musical artist, I wanted to be that. I didn't want to be one-sided. Like, I'm gonna put violins in my music, and I'm gonna put horns in them, and I'm gonna do piano riffs, and I'm just gonna be that. I'm not just gonna be the typical boom, clap, boom, clap, boom, clap, you know.
And then one of the other things, because I know you're obviously like me, a big fan of EPMD, they had the Jane series of songs on their albums, and you had the Death Wish, obviously.
Right.
So for you, why why create a series and why have a series that lasted so long?
I took it off of EPMD with the James
With
series,
James? Okay.
and to me, it kept a certain curiosity every record.
Okay.
People would want to see, like I did it with the Duck Sick. We did the Duck Sick, then we did Duck Sick 2.
Right.
I did Death Wish 2, Death Wish 3. So it was just, and I was a Charles Bronson fan too. So, you know, I was Death Wish 1, Death Wish 2. And to me, it was like, you know, me and Quik had our thing, whatever. It was just something to keep the fans going on that one particular thing. Because you maybe pick up new fans every year. Old fans don't like the new record, you know, the new record, whatever. But keeping that series going always allowed those set fans to always be able to gravitate, you know. So
I was one of them.
it played its part, you know. People looked forward to the Death Wish records, so that's why I kept them going, you know.
Okay. And then you mentioned Quik, obviously that plays into these series of songs. Looking back, what do you think that you learned from, you know, having your beef and having your problem with Quik over the years?
Basically, I think I've learned that, you know, sometimes beef is good in hip hop, whatever people want to say, whatever. Sells records, you know, like boxing matches, dudes get in each other's face and talk about they're gonna kick each other's asses, whatever. The difference between our element is because we came from a spot where dudes took gangbanging seriously. So for me to be saying I was Crip and him to be saying he was a Blood, even though we were using our music as our outlets, it was still people around us who still took it serious to where it's not about records. It's about neighborhood beef, fuck them, fuck them. So I think that over the course of the years of it happening and seeing what has happened with beef, it has taught me basically just how to be grown with people. You know what I'm saying? It's taught me how to be grown because I got kids and I got a son now that I wouldn't want him to, like I tell my son, you should be able to go anywhere you want to. You should be able to do anything you want to, go to any spot you want to, without having to have the anxiety of looking over your shoulder because somebody might dislike you. And I didn't come into rap music to have motherfuckers not like me because of my past of street beef. Now back then I was a young cat. I tried to respect the neighborhood more than my music. So my beefing was more about respecting my neighborhood with Quik. It wasn't even about his diss records or my diss records. It was about what the niggas in the neighborhoods was gonna expect from me because I was from there. So that's why I continued it. And with the killings and people getting shot and all that, it just made me go, I'm beefing with a nigga really with, you know, I really don't know. Outside of, he was a Blood, I was a Crip, I rapped my rap, he rapped his, and then we got dudes who don't like it because, nigga, you a Crip and he a Blood. We from Compton and we don't get down like that. So I just learned that, you know, my musical beef didn't have nothing to personally do with a nigga in a street beef. So we might as well try to work that out and try to solve that situation before somebody be at another funeral over somebody else's beef. Because it ain't really even gonna be me and you. It's gonna be one of those. So, and then who wants to get blamed for that?